Have you ever reached a point where nothing is technically wrong, but something inside of you keeps saying, I can't stay here? That feeling doesn't always mean something is missing. Sometimes it means you've grown, you've changed, your standards changed, your expectations changed, what you're willing to tolerate has changed. But here's where it gets complicated. Even after we grow, there are moments when we still find ourselves looking backwards. And that's what we're talking about today. Why do we keep wanting to return to the things we already know we've outgrown? The past has a funny way of editing itself. When we miss something, we remember laughter. We remember the good days. We remember the moments when everything felt comfortable. But sometimes we conveniently forget what made us leave. We forget the disrespect, the disappointment, the nights we cried, the promises that kept getting broken, the version of ourselves that had to keep shrinking just to make everything work. Missing the good moments does not erase the reason you had to walk away. You have to remember the whole story, not just your favorite chapters. And then it happens. The text comes, the phone rings, somebody says, I miss you. A former friend reaches out, an old opportunity comes back around. And suddenly, something you were completely sure about starts feeling complicated again. You start thinking, maybe they've changed. Maybe I was too hard on them. Maybe it wasn't really that bad. But before you reopen that door, ask yourself something important. Has the situation actually changed, or are you just uncomfortable with moving forward? Those are two different things. Familiarity can fool you into believing something is safe simply because you recognize it. You know those people, you know that environment, you know exactly what to expect. But comfortable does not automatically mean healthy. Sometimes you keep returning because you already know how to survive there. Growth requires you to enter spaces where you don't know exactly what happens next. And yeah, that can be scary. But I'd rather learn how to live somewhere new than spend another year learning how to survive somewhere already. Going backward, it has a price. Every time you return to something that keeps hurting you, you're spending something: your time, your peace, your confidence, your opportunities, and sometimes your future. At some point, you have to stop asking, do I still love them? Or do I still care about this? And start asking, what is staying connected to this costing me? Because something can mean a lot to you and still cost too much to keep. Quick mindset shift break. If you're committed to growing, building, and becoming, come visit the MsKnowledge official shop. You'll find Root Authority, hair oil, perfume oils, body oils, books, and products created around confidence, self care, knowledge, and legacy. When you shop MsKnowledge, you're supporting an independent Black woman owned brand that's being built from the ground up. Visit www.missknowledgeofficial.net/shop. Now let's get back into it because this next part matters. Eventually, you reach the crossroads. One direction is familiar. You know exactly what happens if you go back. The other direction is uncertain. You can't see everything that's waiting for you yet. That's where growth lives. And sometimes choosing yourself doesn't feel powerful in the moment. Sometimes your hands are shaking. Sometimes you're crying. Sometimes you're wondering whether you're making the biggest mistake of your life and you choose yourself anyway. That's courage. Now, nobody talks enough about this part. Growth can get lonely. You'll watch people you used to spend time with continue without you. You'll see pictures. You'll hear stories. You'll wonder whether you're missing out. And sometimes you don't actually miss the environment. You miss being included. There's a difference. Don't confuse loneliness with making the wrong decision. Every empty space in your life does not need to be immediately filled. Sometimes that space is where the new version of you is being built. Then one day, something finally clicks. You realize, I don't actually want that life back. I don't want those arguments back. I don't want those sleepless nights back. I don't want to keep proving myself. I don't want to keep abandoning myself just so other people can remain comfortable. What I miss is what I hoped it would become. And once you understand that, everything changes because now you're no longer grieving the reality, you're releasing the expectation. If conversations like this make you think, reflect, and challenge yourself, there's more waiting for you on the MsKnowledge blog. We talk about mindset, career elevation, personal growth, boundaries, real life experiences, entrepreneurship, and what it actually takes to rebuild yourself. These aren't just feel good conversations. We're talking about lessons you can actually apply to your life. Visit www.missknowledgeofficial.net forward slash, or is it a backward slash blog? Read, reflect, apply, grow. Now let's finish this mindset shift. Here's what I finally had to admit. Sometimes I wasn't looking backward because the past was bad. I was looking backward because the future was unknown. I knew how to exist back there. I knew the people, I knew the expectations, I even knew the pain. But I didn't know what was waiting ahead. And sometimes familiar pain feels less frightening than unfamiliar possibility. That's when I understood. I can miss something and still know I've outgrown it. Missing it doesn't mean I need to return. Once you stop pouring energy into what is draining you, you finally have the energy to build. Now you're building differently. Your boundaries are different, your standards are different, your goals are different. And most importantly, you are different. You're no longer asking everybody for permission to become who you know you're supposed to be. The best part of life doesn't have to be something you keep remembering. It can be something you're building right now. This is where the mindset really shifts. I choose my peace over somebody else's approval. I choose growth over familiarity. I choose purpose over pressure. I choose the future I'm building over the past I've already survived. And I don't need to hate anybody to move forward. I don't need revenge. I don't need everybody to understand. I can appreciate that something once meant to me without giving it permanent access to me. If that makes sense. That's growth. So if you're standing between the life you know and the life you're trying to build, hear me. Keep going. You didn't do all this healing just to return to the same cycles. You didn't learn boundaries just to abandon them when somebody gets uncomfortable. You didn't discover your worth just to negotiate it again. You outgrew some people. You outgrew some places. You outgrew some habits. And maybe you even outgrew a version of yourself. But here's the thing, that's okay. Honor who you were. Be proud of how far you've come. But don't go backward trying to find a version of yourself that doesn't live there anymore. You can miss it and still know you've outgrown it. This is MsKnowledge, breaking chains, building knowledge, creating change. I'll see you all next Friday for Mindset Shift.